Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Manifest Podcast. It's so great to be here with you each and every week. I love this time where I get to hit record, where I feel that flow of inspiration, that knowing that this message is going to land for you today at the perfect time. So today's episode is titled, You Probably Already Know the Answer, or You Probably Know the Answer Already. So I woke up really early this morning. It's a Sunday, and I felt the urge to write. So this is also available as a Substack article. You can go to sarahprout.substack.com if you would like to read along. But I really wanted to express the essence of this article as a podcast. And I also have some very exciting news that I have recently decided to pay more attention to my YouTube channel. I've had it for years and years and years. And I decided that as a writer, as a person that loves to share the things that I create, like my meditations or my audio experiences, that I really want to start paying attention to YouTube because it's a great platform. So you can go along, follow me over there. You can just Google my name. It should come up as the YouTube channel. I think it's Sarah Prout. That is my handle. So youtube.com/Sarah Prout. And I would love for you to explore what I have on offer there. There's some different free meditations that I've created. There is some personal updates from me. And now I'm actually starting to upload episodes of the Manifest podcast too. So let's dive into today's episode. You probably know the answer already. So for nearly 2 decades, there have been strangers on the internet, and admittedly, they are lovely strangers on the internet, that have asked me for answers because I have shared wisdom online for such a very long time now. I get a lot of questions, a lot of DMs, such as how do I manifest more money, which always seems to be the most popular topic, to how do I find love, or what's the secret to getting unstuck, or how do I know if I'm on the right path? And this one, if I had $1 for every time somebody asked me this, things would be a little different. What does 1111 mean as a sign? So every day messages and DMs arrive from people hoping that I can offer the missing piece of their puzzle, whether it's a sentence or an insight or a perspective that somehow makes life make sense again. And full transparency, if I can help, I always will. I always do. I mean, you guys know if you've ever sent me a DM or something like that, there's a great little circle of people that have constantly given me updates about their lives, what's going on for them. And I love that because I've built some incredible friendships with some amazing people over the years who have had that bravery to just first reach out with a DM. So I believe this is how I have created and built successful online communities for so many years. And I think that transparency and authenticity is really the secret sauce when it comes to building these connections. And over the years, my words and my meditations, my podcasts, my talks, all that kind of stuff has reached places that I never could have imagined. And I share in the Substack article that my work was shared by The Secret. As many of you know, that back in 2006, I didn't have much money, and I remember going to this event and they had a table of all of the secret DVDs there that were on sale, and it was $40, and that was all that I had. And I spent that money on the DVD, and it changed my world. It really inspired me to become a manifestation teacher. I didn't realize how instrumental that actually was in the early days of when I thought, hey, I could teach manifestation. I love metaphysics. And what a lot of people don't know is by the time that I found The Secret, I'd actually been studying and practicing meditation and even teaching meditation since I was 19. So from the ages of like 19 to 26, that was a really important time in my spiritual development because I was studying metaphysics. I mean, I've spoken about this many, many times, but I read The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn when I was 8 years old. So there was always this interest in me about the law of attraction and how to attract abundance. And so when The Secret page, which I believe has millions upon millions of followers, shared one of my quotes, it was an affirmation, and it said, I am always attracting abundance. And it was liked 48,000 times and shared 12,000 times with hundreds of comments. I mean, this is just one example. And even on my own platforms over the years, I remember doing one Facebook Live and there were 6,000 comments at the end of the masterclass session. And that was kind of like in the golden days of Facebook and when it used to be not so overcrowded. And another cool story that I love to share is that Kim Kardashian even once shared one of my Dear Universe affirmations. It was a full moon one that was, Dear Universe, may the energy of the full moon manifest abundance and good fortune into my life. And when I saw that Kim Kardashian had shared that, I was like, oh my goodness. And I think there were a few thousand followers just from the impact of her sharing that. So it was a really, I mean, there's been many, many different pinch myself moments over the years, such as reality TV stars, entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, and actors that have reached out, people from all over the world looking for guidance. I've had random phone calls from reality TV stars saying, hey, Sarah, can you help me with this? And I don't want to name names because, obviously that's not the way we do things, but it's so surreal, even to me now. And what I've come to realize is that most people are asking different versions of the same question. It's always different versions of the exact same question. And it's essentially this: am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? And I've noticed this over the years that sometimes there's a bit of confusion with me as a manifesting teacher versus me being somebody that can offer intuitive guidance. And although there's sometimes which I have made some pretty eerie predictions, I don't profess to be a professional fortune teller or intuitive because there is such a margin of error. And I like to do it in my own life. And I believe that everybody has their own intuitive faculties as well. So when it comes to my work in the world, it's really to help people remember their own power, to guide their energy, to remember their own power, to have those intuitive faculties. So last week, I think it was last week, I don't know, the weeks kind of fly by so quickly these days. Last week, John, who, for those of you that don't know who John is, he is my boyfriend. We've been together for nearly 2 years. And he bought a box of fortune cookies, which is like, okay. Fortune cookies it's a novelty, right? They taste gross. Nobody really eats them. And after dinner, we'd crack open a fortune cookie. And we were both really surprised by how accurate and then mildly comforting the messages were. And of course, for me, the text is so super tiny. So I had to grab my readers. I'm sure there's many women that listen to this podcast that are 40 plus that notice that the text, all of a sudden, it's almost like overnight text looks just a little bit smaller or a little bit blurrier. Anyway, so the last fortune cookie that I had said, you are creating a positive reality. And I thought, well, that's nice. So anyway, and this is an interesting side note. I recently learned that fortune cookies weren't even originally created to predict the future at all. They were intended as small reflections, little invitations to pause and see life differently. And I believe that they actually originated from Japan, even though they are usually given from Chinese food restaurants. So I don't know, maybe fact check that one, look it up. But after all of these years of the things that I've been doing online, I've come to realize something. And this is really the crux, the bottom line that I would love to really hit home today. That people don't usually want predictions. They want permission. They want permission way more than they want predictions. They want someone to write out a tiny permission slip just to trust themselves. And so if you're listening to this today, I'm going to write you a tiny permission slip and say, hey, guess what? It's time to trust yourself. Because most people are looking for permission to make the decision that they've been avoiding. Permission to leave that shitty marriage if they want to, permission to stay if they want to, permission to begin again, to go back to the drawing board, to, try to have a baby, whatever it is, or perhaps permission to believe that what they want is possible. And that, especially with high profile people that I've had the deepest honor and privilege of working with, they want that. They want that permission to believe what they want is possible. And I've seen some incredible success stories over the years, from the time that unfolds from the time that I have the conversation with different people to then what ultimately eventuates and manifests in their lives. And it's not about me. It's not about me. My job is just to reflect back to them what they want and to hold that space for that infinite possibility to manifest. And I think that's what's been really interesting when people have come to me with like almost like impossible situations, impossible requirements. And then all of a sudden, well, actually over a period of time, it's like it actually manifested. And it happened because when you express your dreams, your desires to somebody else that can hold that level of energy for you, what it does is it starts to change your own energy. And that's what, that's really what the manifestation industry is about. It's about people that can hold the big dreams for others while also simultaneously holding the dreams for themselves, even and especially when things fall apart and collapse behind the scenes as they often do. I would say it's no stretch of the imagination to state that there are a lot of people out there online that talk about success and manifestation and avoid the difficult things and kind of hide them from public view because they believe that there's something to hide, and there's not. And I believe that the best people out there, and I'm not saying that I'm one of them, but I'm just saying that I do probably have a different approach. It's that the more you can be real with what's happened in your life, the more you can actually show people how manifestation operates in your life. It's not all glamorous. Yes, I've had great success in my life and I've had a great deal of failure as well. And it's the ups and downs, the ebbs and the flows. And that's what life is, though. Life is about taking enjoyment from every single season that happens, even when you can't see it. And for me, especially going through what I've been through the last few years, and I know I tend to talk about that in podcasts right now, but I won't forever. But it has been a very difficult emotional time, a lot of upheaval, a lot of uncertainty. And what I know now, though, is that it is a beautiful training ground. I've always known that. I've been teaching this for many years, that we go through these different ebbs and flows because there are valuable lessons that sometimes we can't see until we're through them. But then you see it. Like there comes a tipping point in the timeline of your story where you're like, that's why I went through that. Because the person that I knew that I was in the process of becoming needed those lessons to strengthen me. And I can tell you, I am a lot stronger now than I was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I started on what I would call a healing journey, an inner healing journey. And what was really the catalyst for me was suffering from chronic migraines. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I kept on having these very painful headaches 3 days out of the month. It almost felt like there was fire in my head, and I would have to almost be in the dark for 3 days, and I'd be rocking forwards and backwards because the pain was so horrific. And I never knew when they would strike. Never knew. And I thought it was hormonal. I thought, I was hospitalized at one point because they thought I had temporal arteriitis or something like that. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But, I'd had scans and they just essentially said that it was migraines. They thought I had TMJ because I had such tension in my jaw. What it was stress. Stress from not truly being in my own power. And I think many women go through this, especially during that perimenopausal season that women in their 40s tend to go through, where they question and evaluate what they're truly excited about in their lives, what they're truly willing to embody versus the things that are creating stress and tension. And so then it loops back really to that permission of, am I going to be okay? And I think that we've all been through seasons of struggle. And I've even been through seasons of massive success, and I've still asked myself, am I going to be okay? And so, we're looking for that permission, like I said, the permission to believe in what we want is possible. And in many ways, many ways, I've spent years packaging big truths into tiny little reminders. And you've probably seen my writing on Instagram. I've been writing online since 2007. You've probably seen maybe my notes over on Substack, whatever it is. Usually the way it happens is that I feel this spark of inspiration. It's like, okay, Sarah, it's go time. Either write it down in your journal or take out the notes app and just write what's wanting to come through. And I think that especially in the day and age of AI, you need to have that really powerful and potent relationship with your higher self so that you can channel authentic information, you can channel authentic content, because that, what is it, AI slop, is that what they call it out there? You can tell it's not great, right? It doesn't come from the heart. It doesn't have character. And I think the funny thing is that most of the wisdom, I'm using air quotes, or the inspirational nuggets that I've shared over the years, it wasn't something that I specifically invented, because I believe that most of this stuff is just rehashed and it just comes through at the time that it needs to. It was more often than not something that I needed to hear myself most of the time. And so, it's the message that changed someone's life on the other side of the world. It was often the very lesson that I was learning in my own living room, right? In my own space. And that's the strange reciprocity of teaching. You offer what you're discovering. You write what you're trying to understand. You share what you're still becoming. And if there's one thing I've learned after nearly 20 years of sharing my voice online, whether it's through my writing or my podcast or on stages or whatever it is, it's that the answers that you're searching for are rarely hidden. We always think, oh, when's the answer going to reveal itself? Most of the time, they're just waiting on the other side of a decision. And the most important thing that you can do is get off that fence and just make a decision, flip a coin, choose a path, pick a lane, do whatever you need to do, because the future has a remarkable way of revealing itself when you're willing to take the next step. So if something inside this episode resonated with you today, which I'm hoping it did, I'd love to invite you to join Manifest, which is my exclusive community that I host over on School. And it's for conscious creators who know that they're meant for more and are ready to stop waiting and start creating their next chapter. So whether you're writing a book or building a business or pursuing a dream, or simply learning to trust yourself again, you'll find masterclasses, live Q&A sessions, guided meditations. I'm in there, so you'll have exclusive access to me. And this is an incredible community of like-minded people that are walking the path alongside you. So you can join today with a free 7-day trial, which I hope you take me up on. There is a link in the description of this show episode. And so just click on that link and I'll see you inside. Once again, thank you so much for being here with me today for another episode of the Manifest Podcast. And just remember, if you have a decision to make, just take inspired action. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you once again. Bye for now.